Hello, YTPC. Ethan, Parsimonious Piper here, and today on our episode of Meals for Mensch, we don't necessarily have a meal, but we've got something that will make every meal better, and that is hot sauce. So, hot sauce, the way I make it, is pretty simple. You have, well, four ingredients if you count water, salt, peppers, and later on vinegar. I sort of make this in the style of a Cajun sauce, but I don't like a ton of vinegar like Tabasco. I prefer more pepper flavor and a little thicker sauce. So you'll see that in a month or so when I'm done with this and bottle the sauce. But uh, but yeah, let's take a look at the peppers first of all. Now, I typically for my pepper sauces, I will use a single poblano. These peppers have almost no heat, but they have a lot of just rich flavor. Now, poblanos originated in Puebla, Mexico, and the people of Puebla are also called poblanos. If you have a hot and spicy chica, check to see if she's got crazy relatives from Puebla before you call her a poblana. Now, the other peppers that I typically use, I use a total of about a pound of peppers. So the other peppers that form the base of the flavor are going to be jalapenos. They are fantastic. And finally, for some heat, I have not been able to get a good flavor hot sauce out of the super hots, the ghost peppers, scorpions, Carolina Reapers. I've had some hot sauces that were decent made with those, but when I've tried them, almost all I ever get is heat. So typically what I will use is a habanero. Now my grocery store didn't have habaneros this time, but they did have serranos. And if you can't roll the R, it won't taste the same. And I use about a quarter pound of those and a quarter pound of jalapenos. This turned out to be about a half pound. Now, to start the sauce, I'm going to ferment these peppers in a saltwater brine for about a month. Now, some people will tell you to remove the seeds. Silly. Unless you just don't like the texture of them. The seeds don't have heat. The ribs, however, or as Jeffrey Alton Carter will probably tell you, the placenta of the peppers, we rednecks just call them ribs, not to be confused with pig ribs. But the ribs do have quite a bit of heat, but the seeds themselves don't. I leave them in. I don't care. I like the heat anyway. And let me show you about how coarsely I like to chop these to get them into a quart jar. Back in a sec. All right, let's look at a jalapeno. Me, I just take the tops off, and if you're sensitive to the oils and the acid oils that make these things hot, wear gloves. They don't. It doesn't really bother me, so I just slice my pepper down lengthwise and coarse chop. At the end of this, when I go to bottle it, it's all going through the blender anyway. What I'm trying to do is make sure that it's at least fine enough to get into the quart jar. So that just goes straight into standard quart jar. You don't want to watch me chop all these peppers. We'll get to that in just a minute. All right, folks, all chopped up, layered in my quart jar. Now, fermenting these things is unbelievably simple. A quart of water, 3 tablespoons of salt. It's sea salt, not table salt. You get way too much salt if you use 3 tablespoons of regular salt. Dissolve it in there pretty well. Pour it in. Now, this is a quart of water. I've got peppers in here. Obviously, I can't fit a quart of water in here, but that quart to 3 tablespoons gives you the correct brine percentage for your salt. And yep, there wasn't much left down on the bottom of that. Good. That is going to be salty, salty. Now, you want all of your peppers to stay beneath the brine level. So I bought a fermentation kit that's got a few of these jars and weights, glass weights, to just set that on top of your peppers. No overflow. And you've got a little airlock here that you can use to let the fermentation gases out periodically. And voila, hot sauce in a month. Folks, I'll be back, show you what all this looks like and how to turn it into lovely, tasty hot sauce. See y'all in a month. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we've got some peppers that have been fermenting for about a month or so, give or take a week here or there. And they look fantastic. So, what do we do with them to make sauce? Well, let's take a look. So the first thing we're going to do is we are just going to strain the brine off of the peppers. Open that up. My hands have been washed. There is a glass weight sitting in there. And we don't want to lose that pepper. I'm going to save the brine because we're going to use that here in a second, but just try and drain off mostly brine. And then we're going to bring the peppers to a boil. Get those in here. Shake them out good. Whew, don't those look lovely? Now we're going to add a half a cup of white wine vinegar. I don't like Tabasco. Tabasco to me just tastes like vinegar. It does not have a great flavor in my opinion. I'm not sure why it's so popular. But we are going to use vinegar because we want to drop the pH to make this a little more stable, shelf stable. What I use, and I don't get product placement, this is just a grocery store white wine vinegar. I use white wine vinegar instead of straight white vinegar. You get the acidity that you need, but you don't get that straight vinegary taste. So a half a cup of that. Let's move our strainer out. And I want to cover the peppers. You can see that doesn't quite cover them. So I'm going to add enough brine back in. And as it turns out, I may just go ahead, I'm going to use all of that brine. There wasn't too much this time. And we're going to throw that on the stove, bring it to a boil, and then turn the heat down just enough so that it's still simmering, and simmer that good for about 15 minutes. And we'll be right back. So we simmered for 15 minutes and then let it cool. We have a nice mash here with still a little bit of liquid in it. So let's throw this in the blender, smooth it out. Now, some people will strain this. That doesn't leave you a whole lot of sauce left, quite frankly. Although, if you do choose to strain it, you can then dehydrate the leftover solids and make yourself a nice spice mash. But let's see how this turned out. Should be nice and thick, but still saucy. All right, cover your ears. I gave that about 2 30-second bursts of blending on high speed. Nice suction on these Ninjas. And you can see, maybe, that's a nice thick sauce. Oh, that's good. That is nice. Now, I bottle them in these little bottles you can get from Amazon. And I think a kit that my daughter gave me had this little collapsible funnel. Pretty nifty. If you don't have one of these, fits in a drawer really nicely. Fits right into a bottle. Now you do want to do this relatively slowly, because otherwise, even with that wide mouth, the funnel will clog. And there you have, put that funnel on another bottle here. There you have a very nice thick sauce. Fantastic stuff. So there you have it. Pretty simple. Just a couple ingredients. Mostly time is what makes your hot sauce. A tiny bit of cooking, a little bit of blending. No big deal on either one of those. So, gentlemen, ladies, if you like hot sauce, play around with making your own. I think you'll enjoy it. With that, light something you like. Enjoy your afternoon.